Mr. Chair, go ahead.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Committee of Adjustment for the City of Richmond Hill. I would ask that we start this meeting this evening with the reading of the preamble, please.
Today's Committee of Adjustment meeting is hereby being held as an electronic meeting in light of the current COVID-19 emergency. The COVID-19 emergency is the emergency declared by the Province of Ontario pursuant to Order in Council 518-2020, Ontario Regulation 5020 on March 17, 2020, and by the City of Richmond Hill on March 20, 2020, under the provisions of Section 7.0.1 and Section 4.1 of the Emergency Management and Civil Protection Act. The Committee of Adjustment is authorized to hold this meeting electronically as a tribunal under the Statutory Powers and Procedures Act, in accordance with the Hearings and Tribunal Proceedings Temporary Measures Act. Due to efforts to contain the spread of COVID-19 and protect all individuals, city facilities are not presently open to the public to attend Committee of Adjustment meetings. The Committee of Adjustment for the City of Richmond Hill has been appointed by Council to consider applications for minor variance and consent within the jurisdiction of the Planning Act. The committee's decision may be appealed to the local planning appeal tribunal. All appeals and associated fees must be filed directly with the Secretary Treasurer in accordance with the Planning Act. To be notified of a local planning appeal tribunal hearing, you must request a copy of the committee's decision in writing. The public may submit written correspondence regarding agenda matters by email to committeeofadjustment@richmondhill.ca. All written correspondence received by 4:30 p.m. today has been provided to the committee members electronically. Delegates are reminded to please mute your microphones or phone and turn off your video until it is your turn to speak. Please make sure your microphone is not muted when you begin speaking. Every registered delegation will be provided 5 minutes to speak. The clerk will announce when you have 1 minute left and when your time is up. If members do not have questions or all questions have been asked, your delegation is over. Please sign off of Zoom or hang up the phone once the committee has made a decision on your application. You can watch the rest of the meeting on our live stream. The clerk may remove any delegate who does not sign off of Zoom.
Thank you. Our Secretary Treasurer is Mrs. Jamie Hope Herman. Our Assistant Secretary Treasurer is Ms. Andrea Clement. And assisting us this evening from Planning Department is Ms. Catherine Faria. Do we have any conflicts of interest this evening, gentlemen? I see none. And do we have any requests for withdrawal or adjournment?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Actually, we do have Member Gossi was not present at the May 28th, 2020 meeting, so he will not be voting on items A, B, and C.
Thank you. In that case, we can begin with our first three applications. Application B003/20, A008/20, and A009/20. And they are, where are they? Oh, 68 Elm Avenue. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jim Brancato, and I'm the applicant and the owner also. The application was deferred on May the 28th, 2020. Since then, we have revised the proposed dividing line between the two lots in order that we can address the future corner lot setback requirement of 3 meters. The separate parcel will now have a frontage of 17.50 meters, which equals to 57.41 feet, and a lot area of 441.35 square meters, which is 4,750.65 square feet. The retained parcel will now be bigger in frontage at 19.035 meters, which is 62.43 feet. and a lot area of approximate 468.986 square meters, which is 5,048 square feet. And also will have enough space for the 3-meter future flankage yard when the future road is built. By making the retained parcel bigger and the severed parcel a little bit smaller, we can build the same size house on either lot. Of course, we will use a different front elevation, but it will be the same size square footage house. That's all my presentation right now. If you have any questions, I will gladly answer them.
Thank you very much. Does anyone in the audience wish to address this application at 68 Elm Avenue?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do not.
And do we have any further comments, questions from our committee? Mr. Duretzi.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to extend a gratitude and a thank you to the applicant and the owner for the previous deferral and bringing this before us this evening. It's a good job. I know it was an inconvenience for you and a bit of a time delay, but I sincerely thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Any further comments, gentlemen? In that case, I'll entertain a motion. Mr. Duretzi.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I move that applications B003/20, A008/20, and A009/20, all at 68 Elm Avenue, be approved, subject to the conditions in the city's staff reports.
Moved by member Duretzi, seconded by member Master. All in favor? I see 3 hands approved. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Our next application is application B021/20 at 61 Younghurst Road. Do we have any additional correspondence on this application?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do not.
Thank you.
Hi. Good evening, Mr. Chair, and the members of the committee. Can you hear me properly?
We can hear you. We just can't see you.
Perfect. Okay, so I am the acting agent for 61 Younghurst Road. The owner is CBC Dragon Incorporated. We are proposing to sever the existing land at 61 Younghurst. We wish to retain a parcel of land that is 928.44 square meters, one parcel, and then the severed land would be 1955.09 square meters. Just a side note, back in 2018, there was a application to sever the lot, which expired because the owner did not meet the conditions. So this is the exact same application. We just wanted to reopen the file.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone in the audience wish to address this application at 61 Younghurst Road?
Through you, Mr. Chair, there is none.
And do we have any further comments from planning? Sorry, I missed you last time.
You, Mr. Chair, no further comment.
Thank you. Gentlemen, any further comments, questions? Mr. Duretzi.
Yes, through you, Mr. Chairman. This is a question to either staff or the applicant in terms of the remaining 6 meters between the retained piece and the block where the water course is. What's the intention of leaving that little 6-meter strip there? Is it potentially to be joined in the future with another parcel to the west, or?
No, this would be particularly just like a private laneway because we need a frontage off of Younghurst.
Okay.
So the 6.1 would be a frontage for that property in the back, and the 15.24 meter frontage would be retained for the Younghurst
So in the future, when the rear portion becomes consolidated with an infill development, that little 6-meter strip would be joined to the retained land? Is it safe to say that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? In that case, I'll entertain a motion. Mr. Master. Your speaker is off, sir.
There we go.
Okay,
Through you, Mr. Chair, I move that application number B021/20 located at 61 Younghurst Road be approved with all the conditions contained therein.
moved by member Master, seconded by member Duretzi. All in favor? I see 4 hands. Thank you very much. Approved.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you.
Our next application is application A072/19 at 100 Rockport Crescent. Do we have any additional correspondence on this application?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do not.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Roy Chan. I'm the agent representative for the owner of 100 Rockport. The client is requesting for a minimum side yard setback of 1.18, whereas 2.44 is required at the east side yard. And then they are also asking for a side yard setback of 1.3 meters, whereas 2.44 is required for the west side yard, and a maximum lot coverage of 34%, whereas 30% is permitted. It's an addition to an existing house, bungalow. We're adding a second floor as well as a garage at the front of the house and widening the side where the garage is on the property.
Is that your presentation?
Yes.
Thank you. Anyone in the audience wish to address this application at 100 Rockport Crescent?
Through you, Mr. Chair, there is none.
Thank you. Do you have any further comments from planning?
Yes.
Through
Oh, sorry.
you, Mr. Chair, no further comment.
I have a question for planning. I see we're at 1.18 meters, and it seems to me that at 1.2, we get kind of fussy about any side doors. I don't see anything on the drawing, but mind you, I would probably need a magnifying glass, but I just want to be sure that that there's none there and that we do include that restriction.
I can answer that question for you. If the 1.18, it's at the side of the garage where the brick detail protrudes out, and the rest of the wall is actually at 1.2, where there are windows and doors there at 1.2.
There are windows and doors at 1.2?
That's correct. If not sure if actually I have this in my drawing. Can you see that?
Yes, okay, thank you.
This,
That's A212, was it?
that's A212, yeah.
Again, I'll ask the question of planning. Need to get restrictive there on the door?
I'm sorry, would you mind repeating? Sorry, would you mind repeating the question?
I believe that at 1.2, we get a little fussy about whether or not there's a door in the side yard. In this particular application, there is a door. And normally we get restrictive in terms that it's either inset or that we have no doors included. So should we include that restriction in our approval or whatever we decide to do with this particular application?
Through you, Mr. Chair, no concerns with including that restriction.
So we can include it?
There would be no concerns with including that.
Okay.
Can I raise a question? We were not given any conditions about the setback of the door. The door is strictly for for entering into the garage. And based on the building code separation, if we meet 1.2 meters setback, we're permitted to have 7% openings on that side, on the side walls, under the building code.
Please help me out here because I don't have in front of me the documentation or that restrictive clause, but it seemed to me it was either inset or maybe it even opens in which case the door would not be a problem. If it opens in.
I'm not sure where that clause would be because I haven't seen it.
I'm talking to planning, sir.
Oh, sorry.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I don't have the specific wording in front of me. However, we can seek clarification for that specific wording should it be required.
I'm going to ask our Secretary Treasurer, do we have a copy somewhere handy where we can just double check that clause? Jamie?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I will get that if you can just give me one moment.
Thank you. While we're waiting for that, do we have any other further questions or comments, gentlemen? Mr. Duretzi.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, just to elaborate on what we're waiting for, I see that there's either two options, like you said, swing the door in, or we're dealing with 1.18, change it to 1.2, and we're done.
I think the gentleman did say it was at 1.2. I just can remember, I thought at 1.22 we were.
Well, he's asking for
1.20 we were, I just can't remember the wording. I'd like to hear the wording. If we got it handy, that'd be wonderful.
The variance is asking for 1.8. If he changes the request to 1.2, then it's a non-issue.
The drawing on here, if you see on A1.12, you see where the garage here, there's a brick detail, which wrapped around the brick detail, the thickness of that becomes 1.18, whereas the rest of the wall steps back all the way front to back, it's actually 1.2.
Through you, Mr.
Yes, go ahead.
Sorry, it says where a minimum side yard is 1.2 meters, a door may be permitted in a wall adjacent to a side lot line if the door is recessed into the wall.
If it's recessed into the wall.
That's correct.
Okay, and I'll ask the question of planning. What does that mean? Does that mean that the door has to be inside, in the wall, 6 inches, 12 inches? What does that mean?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I don't have the specific details in order to provide specific answer to how far the door would be recessed. However, we can seek that clarification.
All right. In that case, then I'm going to suggest that we do include that clause and let that worked out by planning and by site plan approval. Is that appropriate?
I'm fine with that.
For you, Mr. Chair, I would note that this application is not subject to site plan approval.
Okay, fair enough. Well, let's include that. Can we include that clause, please, in our motion for this application? I would ask for a motion, please. If there's no further questions or comments.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I can make a motion that application A072/19, located at 100 Rockport Crescent, be approved with all the conditions contained in there and the additional condition regarding the 1.2 meter side yard with a door setback as read by our secretary.
Moved by member Master, seconded by member Gossi. All in favor? I see 4 hands. It's approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next application is application A024/20 at 40 Bridgeport Street. Do we have any additional correspondence on this application?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we received a letter of rejection on July 15th from 207 Richmond Street.
Thank you.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Chairman and the members of committee.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
You can go ahead and present your application.
Yeah, sure. Actually, yeah, here we have like two concerns like in our application, like is side yard setbacks and front yard setback. We work with planning department like to come up like with best solutions. So regards like front yard setback, like what we have, like what we try to achieve. So in our case, like yeah, we position our building on the like average like of the neighbor's building basically. So like yeah, this one and this one. So like we have like here's line, and like to make it like more aesthetically, like yeah, we got it like in such conclusion like to not have the building like at the front, so like to have it like average like between like neighbor houses. And
If I could interrupt just for 1 second, I apologize.
Sure.
That drawing you showed us, I believe we probably have it in our package. If you could make a reference to the drawing numbers so we can look at it, that would be easier for us.
Yeah, sure. If you can take a look at sheet number is A10.
A10, okay?
Yes, site plan.
Thank you.
So basically, yeah, we can like see our position in regards like setbacks, and we provided there a line between like neighbor houses and our like positioning of the house. And regards like side yard setbacks, like if you can take a look at the A50 section, like I can go over this and explain like what we did to minimize like our input like on neighborhood. So on this section A5, we can see like that we like to raise like the ceiling, like we made like a cathedral step like to lower and provide like more light to the neighbors. So in that case, like we didn't go like higher. So in that case, like it's just like about like 6 meters to the eaves trough. If you have like any questions, please let me know.
Sorry, that was your last comment?
Yes, like yeah, I went like over like all comments, like what we did and how we approach like our design. Like I'm designer of this building, and basically I know like all technical details. Like if you need any additional information, I can clarify it.
Thank you. Anyone in the audience wish to address this application at 40 Bridgeport Street?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, we have Mr. Kaman.
Good evening, sir. Go ahead. You need to turn your speaker on.
Hello, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Nice to see you all, guys. My name is Keyvan Rangin Kamam, and I'm owner of 207 Richmond Street. The corner lot just next door and next property of that applicant for the Bridgeport. And I have two objections, just I want to share with you. One of this, my objection is about the minimum side yard setback in south. That based on the drawing, this setback to top of the second floor that reduced from 3 meter to 1.22 meter. I have an objection to that because it will affect on and reduce my property light. And my second objection is the if you check the drawing number A-4.1, the first plan, proposed plan. I just want to point at the southwest point of that plan. There is a balcony there, and the south face of the proposed balcony on the second floor, it's gonna compromise my privacy. Just I have to this objection to this application.
Thank you, sir. Does anyone else in the audience wish to address this application at 40 Bridgeport Street?
Okay, Mr. Chair, there is none.
Thank you. Do we have any further comments from our planning department?
Mr. Chair, no further comment.
And gentlemen, any comments or questions? In that case, I would ask for a motion. Mr. Gossi.
Through you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make a motion to approve item F, variance application A024/20 at 40 Bridgepoint Street, given the terms and conditions in the staff report.
Moved by member Gossi, seconded by member Duretzi. All in favor? I see 4 hands. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Application's approved. Thank you. Our next application is application A027/20 at 19 Orion Crescent. Do we have any additional correspondence on this application?
Okay, Mr. Chair, we have 6 letters of support that were received on July 16th, 21 Orlon Crescent. We have 63 Denham Drive, 52 Spruce Avenue, 29 Orlon Crescent, 16 Orlon Crescent, 14 Orlon Crescent, 3 Orlon Crescent.
Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. Mahir Manius, I'm the applicant, and also on the screen I can see the owner, Amit Puri, of the property. We're proposing here tonight an application to demolish the existing detached dwelling and replace it with a 2-story dwelling with an integral at-grade garage. We're requesting 3 variances as per the notice. I'll start with the rear yard setback. I just wanted to bring to your attention, the setback is actually to the elevated deck, which is required because there's a 2-meter drop off from the front to the backyard. The actual house itself is set back even further from the required 25-foot setback as per the site plan in front of you. I had emailed earlier today just a markup of the site plan with a yellow highlight. It actually shows the portion of the elevated deck which is in variance. Yes, that's the one. So it shows portion of deck in variance. So that's only the portion that's highlighted that's in variance. The remaining part of the deck complies and the dwelling is further back from the required setback. Thanks for bringing up the site plan. Second variance after that is the coverage. We're proposing a 33% coverage versus the allowable 30%. And I'd like to think this is in keeping with the development in the neighborhood and the previous applications which have been approved by the Committee for Adjustment. Last but not least is the side yard setback on the north side. Just to bring to your attention, the setback is not actually to the dwelling, it's to the below grade window well, which is set back 1.1 meter. What we actually did intention was to set back the wall, which the window well is out from beyond the 1.5 meter. We're proposing a 2.1 meter setback for the wall. Only the window well, which is below grade, is in variance. The wall, the house itself is further away from the required 5-foot setback variance. The owner had canvassed the neighborhood. I think circulated about 35 packages. We've secured about, he has secured about 7 letters of support, including the immediate north neighbor, which are the ones most impacted by the elevated deck and also by the window wells, although they're completely below grade. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Anyone in the audience wish to address this application at 19 Orland Crescent?
Through Mr. Chair, there are none.
And do we have any further comments from planning?
Through Mr. Chair, no further comment.
Any comments, questions, gentlemen, from our committee? Mr. Duretzi.
Yeah, we do have a similar side yard deficiency with respect to adding that clause for a garage door. However, the architectural drawings do not show an entry door into the garage. But for the sake of completeness, maybe we should attach that clause as well in the event that they decide to add a door in the future.
Through you, Mr. Chair, if I may. The garage is actually on the other side of the house, and the setback of 1.5 is just at the pinch point at the front. The remaining part of the garage at the back, at the first jog at the back of the garage, it's actually 3.7 meters. So we're nowhere near the 1.2 that was discussed in the earlier application. As things stands, there's no plan on putting a door, but I don't see a need for the condition, just given the excessive setbacks that we have on the south side.
Thank you. Are you okay with that, Mr. Duretzi?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions, gentlemen? Then I would request a motion. Mr. Master.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I would move that application number A027/20, located at 19 Orland Crescent, be approved with all the conditions contained therein. And once again, we do not need to add the other condition then. Is that correct, Mr. Chair?
That is correct.
Okay. So it stands.
Moved by member Master, seconded by member Duretzi. All in favor? I see 4 hands. Approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Our next application is application A013/20 at 39 Cartier Crescent. Do you have any additional correspondence on this application? Your speaker was off, but I could read your lips.
We do not.
Thank you. Go ahead, please. We can't hear you. And yet I don't
Good
see
evening. Is that
there,
better?
there you go.
Okay, good evening, ladies and gents. Apologies for the audio setting. I'm Golara Jalalpur. I'm part of AGA and the applicant and agent of the owner for this application. So we are applying for a demolition of an existing house and a new house, a 2-story house with 4 variances, 3 of which are the side setbacks. 2 are on east and west, which we are requesting 5 feet setback, but the bylaw requirement is 6 feet. And then the other one is the setback to the window well, which our window well is basically within that 5 feet. So we are requesting a 2 feet to the window well, but then the requirement still is 6 feet. And then lastly, the coverage. The zoning requirement is 30%, and we're applying for 35.64%. So those are the 4 minor variances that we're requesting, and I'm happy to answer any other questions.
Thank you very much. Anyone in the audience wish to address this application at 39 Cartier Crescent?
Here, Mr. Chair, there are none.
And do we have any further comments from planning?
Mr. Chair, no further comment.
Gentlemen, comments, questions? In that case, I will entertain a motion. Mr. Duretzi.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I move that application A013/20 at 39 Cartier Crescent be approved, subject to the city's conditions in their staff report.
Moved by member Duretzi, seconded by member Gossi. All in favor? I see 4 hands. Approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Good evening.
Okay.
And
Mr.
that-
Chairman,
Yes. Any further business?
if you want to just give us a second, we will transition into getting us off live of YouTube.
Okay,
So I will let you know.
thank you.